That's going to be your sign in today. So if you'll write your name and your topic in the chat, this will help Jasmine to help you with research. So if you could go ahead and please write your name and your topic in the chat. Now, remember, you can change your topic if it's just not working for you, but I hope you all will keep this topic because I really think you had some great topics here. And Jasmine, are you seeing those topics pop up on your end?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, I am going to step away and I'm here if you guys need me, but open up the floor for Jasmine to talk with you about the library and accessing resources.
Thank you, Tony. Hi, everyone. I'm your librarian at the South Lake campus. Again, my name is Jasmine Simmons, and if you ever need to contact me after the session, I'm going to go ahead and add my email address into the chat, which is simmonsj@lssc.edu. And to get to our website, there's actually two different ways. And really quick, before I actually do a quick demo of our library's resources and services, has anyone used the library's website recently for their research or in past courses?
And you all can type that in the chat. We can't see you raise your hand right now. So if you want to type that into the chat, if you've used the databases, you know how to access the databases, you're feeling comfortable with it. Or how about, has anyone not done this before? That would probably be easier to see. Anyone not done this before?
So it looks like everyone's familiar with it, which is awesome. So just in case you haven't seen any of or used any of these features on our website, we'll just briefly discuss it, and then I'll show you guys pretty much 4 easy steps for how you can complete any research assignment for this class and your other classes as well. For starters, there are 2 ways of using our library's website. You can actually go to lssc.edu under Laycock links. And let me move my screen over a little bit. You'll go down to Library and Learning Center. And this is the first way that you can locate our website. Or you can just put in the URL lssc.edu/library. And our library's homepage has changed a little bit, but we do have all of our hours, including online. So please keep this in mind. If you do need research help, you can do reference online with us or tutoring. And I know one of your instructions is to proofread your assignment. We do have English tutors that can do that for you. They can actually give you feedback on your paper and help you with grammar as well as sentence structure. But this is our chat box. You just enter in the fields that we need to start the chat. And again, you can chat with me or another librarian as well as an English tutor to review your paper and your citations. And you can also do several other things too. Contact us several other ways. You can text us, which I actually have received in the past, some text messages from students. You can contact us at 352-365-3563. And again, if you do want to make an appointment even, which usually lasts 30 minutes to an hour, you can click on the appointment hyperlink and fill out the information necessary, and someone will contact you within 24 hours. And we are offering in-person instruction, but again, that just depends on what librarian is actually on that campus. And I'm only on virtual, so we can work together via Zoom. So let's go back to the home page. So some easy things to remember when you're doing your research is 4 words: identify, evaluate, use, and cite. Those 4 things keep in mind when you're conducting your research. So the first one is identifying information, and that's just identifying the sources appropriate for your research. And there's actually a couple of ways that you can do that through our website. You can use our databases, which is under the search tab, or catalogs, mainly for ebooks and print books, if you want to use those for your research as well. So we'll start with subject guides, which is the third way to begin your research. And subject guides are web pages designed by librarians, and they actually curate different information such as the best databases, books, ebooks that you can use for that specific topic. So again, let me just go back really quick. And if you can actually follow me if you want to by opening up another screen. But you'll come over here to the left side and select subject guides. And for this class, and we do have several others that may be pertaining to the classes that you're taking, but for speech, just scroll down to the subject speech and look for Upchurch. And she does have a LibGuide for you all. So we do have an introduction. We have the best websites that you can use for finding a topic. This may even, depending on some of your topics, may help you to actually refine it and know for sure what you want to discuss as far as what you put in the chat. So we do have a section for topic ideas if that does change. We have research instructions, which we'll briefly go over, which is the search strategy worksheet. And this just helps you, again, going back to that identify, evaluate, use, and cite. This just helps you organize your sources that you find and also developing keywords, which will save you time in planning your research. So let's go back. And again, subject guides is a great way to start your research just to see what we have available and where you can go for research.
Can I
outsourcing research?
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I did want to let you know that I also have a journalism. This is actually a journalism class, so you can go to my.
Oh, I apologize. Right.
No, I should have had you update that. I forgot that you had updated my speech one to have you in there. You should be in this one as well. But there's the link to the LibGuide for the journalism page, and this is going to give you a little bit more access to things like the AP style book, and particularly like Newsbank and news resources like the Orlando Sentinel, Florida News, that kind of thing. Now, I have to say, I do like the speech site because Jasmine's there, embedded there. And so you can access her directly. But she's also going to be embedded, and if she isn't already, I'm going to make sure she is right now, in our MMC 2100 class. So you cannot miss her. She will be there as a resource. So you can find these kinds of things easily. But I apologize for
interrupting. Thank you for updating me on that.
No problem. I want to get you on this page. I forgot all about that. So I want to make sure we do that.
So it's literally the same steps, but apologies. You'll just go to the journalism tab to get to the MMC 2100 LibGuide. And I would say, suggest, Tony, that they can still use that search strategy worksheet because that can be applied to literally any of your classes. Again, that just helps you to plan better and organize all of your sources that you do find for your research. This is great that you have the databases to get started with. I was just going to get to that for our databases. This is one great way to go directly to the journalism LibGuide and using some of the databases that you can start with as far as different news paper sources. But going back to our homepage, you can do the same thing by clicking on the databases tab. And there's several features that can help you make sure that you select the best databases for your research. So one way is doing the all subjects tab. You can change that. And there should be a tab for newspapers. Normally it is, let's see. And it may vary, actually. I think that would be considered under all databases. You can select newspapers under all databases, and then based on your subject, and let's see what some of the topics were. I think some advice, I saw two people were doing something relating to the pandemic, how it affected college students. So I would suggest just keeping it at newspapers and going from there. Maybe New York Times, which is current, may have some information for you. And we can go back to the keywords. Identifying also would help you to identify the keywords in your topic question or your research question. And this may run a little bit slow. When you click on the databases, you do have to make sure that you're actually signed in using your student email and password. If it's for our catalog, I believe you still have to use your XID number and birth date, which will be your PIN number. So for instance, my birthday is July 20th, we'll say 2000. So my PIN number would be 072000. And that's only for the catalog. So we may have, let's see if I can actually search if I'm in. So going back to that keyword, which we pulled out from one of the students' topic, pandemic, we can at least search 1 to 3 keywords, I would suggest, and start off that way. College students was also another keyword. So if you want to do 2 keywords at one time, we can use the capital N symbol, which tells the database to look for pandemic and college students. And we can also do some searching on if there's another term for college students, or if we want to investigate just millennials period, if we can't find too much information on how it affected college students, which I'm sure it has done many negatives and maybe positives, so never know. So we do pandemic and college student. And this is using our databases. In any database that you do research in, there's always a way that you can filter your search. For instance, you can come over here to the right side and pick your own publication date, like how old do you want the source to be. You can look at the subjects, document type, if you only want maybe PDFs or etc. You can do that as well. Articles, interview, book review, essays. And this just helps you filter down your search so that you can make sure you look for information that you actually really need instead of looking through 875 different results. It'll make your life so much easier for any database that you use to filter your search to make it exactly what you need. A great thing about this Gale database service, you can actually start the topic finder, and this will help you to discover topics and results relating to what you put in the search. So let's just test this out and see if anything comes up. So here we have some information, and this is tiles that you can visualize the information in, or you can also do it by wheel. Let's change it. So here you can look into programs, school programs. Let's see, aid for coronavirus, university student housing. This looks interesting. And online education. Click on that, and then on your right-hand side, it'll have the results for different articles relating to the area that you chose from the wheel. So this could also be helpful for your research. You can actually see some of the things that have been written and how you can actually apply it to your research, or even get additional terms from your topic to help build your keyword bank. So you may see terms in here that we haven't thought of before, maybe to help break down your search or to expand your search. So I would definitely advise using a Gale database and using their topic finder for your research. And let me go back all the way back to our home page. So the same thing that we did in the database, you can do similar in the catalog, but I would advise that you use the catalog only for ebooks and print books in the library. And then again, for the databases, of course, those are credible and reliable sources because they do go through a peer review. So I would advise the databases first and then seeing what you can find in the catalog. And we can do an easy search on this. Type in, again, 1 to 3 keywords from your topic. And you can actually change the different campus that you would want to pick up that physical print book from, or ebooks. You can actually access it literally anywhere that you are in the world, but make sure that you have your student information such as your XID number and PIN number. And or your login for the school, the Laycock mail. Oops, so let me go back to the topics that you guys put in the chat and let's see, search something else. Let me go to the chat. Let's see. And just looking at some of these topics, you may not be able to find anything in the catalog or the database, which is fine. You can use the web, as your professor stated, to help with your research as well. So please don't feel discouraged. I know some students, they think that they can't find any research on their topic through the library's resources page. But again, you can use the web, just make sure that it's credible and reliable. And we'll discuss that as well too. So let's see. Remote learning and its effect on education. Let's see. Happiness and productivity. Let's try happiness and productivity in our catalog and see if they have any books pertaining to that. And at any time, Tony, can you let me know if you can't see my screen that I'm sharing?
Yes, I will let you know.
Thank you so much.
Since I'm interrupting again, I'm going to go ahead and let you know I did add this to our page too, just so we know. We'll have it. Sorry.
Oh, perfect, perfect. Thank you. So again, you can just click on the catalog blue button and let's try happiness and productivity. And we'll just leave it at all colleges and see what we have. Okay, 195 different results. Again, if you don't want to, which may be impossible, to actually look through 195 different sources, always look for the filter results by, or it'll just say filtered by. So you can look for books in the library. You can see if it's available for checkout. And again, I would stick to only books and print books, but they do have sources online that you can view, which will just take you back to the databases where we were before. We even have streaming videos, etc. So let's just do books. You can change the publication year. So let's do 2015 and later and see what we get. So now we have 46 results. We have some ebooks, some streaming videos. You can still access this information even if it's not an ebook, such as the streaming. All you have to do is click on the link here to access the ebook or whatever type of source that it is. And it will open up via whatever the database name is, and this one is EBSCOhost. So let's see if that opens. Usually it will have a red full text PDF that you can download from here, or it may just be full text from the website. You have to view it on the website. On the right-hand side, you'll see the tools bar, and this is literally in every database as well. Okay, it's opening the book right now. So let's go back. And if the book doesn't open, it just depends on how the library has purchased that material. Some databases offer you to have different journals and articles for one person to read at one time, or it can be for multiple people to access that material all at the same time. So if it doesn't open for you, just let us know, or just give it a few more minutes to allow that other reader to close out of the book, the ebook. But going back to the tools, a great tool that I love is that you can actually save the link, which is here. Always save the Prima link, never the hyperlink up here, because once you go back to that, the link up top, it won't take you to the information. So always save your sources using the Prima link. The citing tool, which is an awesome feature, but we'll get to that later as well in our discussion. If you are going to use the citing tool in the databases, and keep in mind, we don't have a citation format for the library catalog, so you have to do that from scratch. But that's actually an easy source to cite books and ebooks, and we do have examples, so please don't think you have to memorize all of these citation styles. But the databases are good for having a format for you to look at. So for MLA, we do have that. However, you want to make sure when you do copy and paste this to a Word document that the format is correct. And for example, for MLA, you do need an access date, which will go after the URL. So you have to keep in mind that it is missing that information, and you will have to submit that or add that before you submit your final assignments. So I'm just going to add this to a Word document page. And again, you'll have to format that, but I'll show you the information on our site to help guide you through that. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to take us back to the home page. Well, actually the catalog page really quick. Okay, see. Okay, so going back to our catalog, again, use 1 to 3 keywords from your topic. Even if it's one word that some of you have entered in the chat, just search that and see what comes up. See what information is out there that you could actually utilize for your topic paper or your story even. And actually, there's some things that you can note. Like even on the left-hand side for the subject topics, you can actually see what areas as far as happiness and productivity, you can see what direction you want to go to for that, such as if you want to investigate more about consumer behavior, or maybe as far as it pertains to business communication. This is also a good area to look at as well. In the book that I did open earlier, again, you can know what type of source it is by looking at the icon. It'll tell you whether it's an ebook, print book, a streaming video, etc. And always click on this link to access that information. You can click on the title. And keep in mind, going back to our keyword bank, which helps you to identify credible and reliable sources, you can always document the summary to see if this book would even help you with your research, depending on, again, where you want to go with this and what story you want to tell about this topic. Always look at the summary, even on the actual PDF when we go through the databases. Also note the abstract, because this will tell you right away if this will be a source that is best for you in your research. So you don't have to read 20 plus pages or maybe 5 or whatever pages and waste, because that actually wastes time for you reading every article that you find that you may be interested in. So again, just keep in mind, always read the summary and the abstracts. Also look at some of the notes that are in here, some of the words that you could apply to your search as you continue to look for information, not just in the databases, but online as well, using like Google or Yahoo. So I would note some of these terms that they have in here that could be useful and add it to my keyword bank. Also, you can look at who the author is too and see if they have any more information pertaining to this topic. And you can also figure out their credibility as well. For every author, they always have background information on them, what they've written in the past, how many people have actually credited them. So that's one really great way to identify an appropriate source, especially if it's a book or ebook. Let's go back. Oh, and lastly, if it is a print book that you want, make sure that you note this number, the call number, which is always on the spine of the book, and this will lead you to where to locate that book when you're going to the library. You can also place a hold on it, which will be the best option, especially now. And you'll just click on it, place a hold, and it will take you into logging in. You'll just log in with your information and your PIN number, and it will ask you once you're in what location or what library you want to select. So just select the library closest to you, and you will receive an email for when it's ready for pickup. That would be the best option for you all versus going in the library and looking for it yourselves. So that's just the basic features of using the library's catalog. Again, this is a great way to begin your search and seeing what has been written that you can apply to your research. Same with the databases. We only use one. We can go through another example really quick using another topic, but everything that we do in the databases, you can apply literally anywhere else, whether it's the first database that we use or another one. For example, you can use Academic Search Complete. We always suggest that students use this type of database, which covers multiple disciplines, just to see what we have there. And I noted that your teacher wanted you to have some images. So you can actually go below, same with any other database, and have that feature added. So for publication type, or actually here, image quick view types, you can select the type of images that you want. So we can do map, graph, chart. And let's see, topic. We'll do animal testing. And I love, oops, 1 second. I clicked out of it. And I love this feature too, which is called the autocomplete. This can also give you an idea, depending on how you type in your research question, if it's longer than 1 or 2 words, it will start giving you some suggestions on how to complete the search. So you may get ideas that way too as well, to gather different keywords and think of other ways that you can search with the keywords that you have now. So we'll do animal testing. And we did select that we want images in the form of chart, graph, and map. And again, you can pick out the range for how old you want the material to be, which it does have to be current. So we have some information, but again, just based on where you're going with this topic, you can see different charts that are linked, images. Click on that and it'll open. And it also does tell you how to cite, but again, based on their citation, here we go, MLA. For the image, we actually have 2 ways. If you're gonna cite the image, make sure you look at the image example and not the article, because you can use the image for your research. And maybe I've seen sometimes students not mentioning the article, but even with the image, usually it is from another author, different from the person who actually wrote the article. So just keep in mind to copy and paste the image only, unless you're gonna use the article as well to cite that in your story. Really quick, did anyone have any questions or wanted to see how their example could be searched? I can't see any faces right now, but
Can I ask if are you all searching your own topics as she's taking you through this? I can see you, so you can just nod if you're searching. If you're not, you're just kind of following along. Who's just following along? Anybody just following along? Nod. Okay. Anybody doing their own topics, like you're searching your own topics? Speak up, people. How about those of you who aren't enabling your cameras? How's it going for you? Are you just following along, or are you searching your own stuff?
Just following along.
Just following along. Anybody getting a head start on their own
Following.
article? You're just following. Okay. Okay. Well, if you have trouble, like the reason why we're asking you to go ahead and try searching for your own topics too, as you are doing this, because that way you'll have an opportunity to ask us for help if you need it. But if you're following along, that is fine. That is fine. And just want to make sure everybody's able to find some information for their own articles. All right. Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you. So I'm gonna try to speed it up a little bit so that you guys can do some research. Can they do research while we're still on chat too, even? So if they need any help, I can answer any questions, or how do you?
If that's okay with you for your time, I just, whatever works best for you is fine with me.
Okay, because this is the easiest way so I don't take too much time from you guys researching. Again, we're gonna deal with identifying, evaluating, using, and citing information. So what we just discussed now is identifying. And again, just to sum up everything that we've done, when you go on our homepage, library's homepage, and I have all of these icons up, let me minimize some of them. For identifying, oh no, you'll go to the subject guides to look up your professor's guide to see what information she has for you. She does have different databases that you can use for your research. So I would advise you to look at that LibGuide and go through those different newspaper databases to see if you can find anything current for the topics that you've chosen. Also use the databases, which is great for articles and images. The catalog, again, I'll only suggest to use that literally for only books and ebooks. But as you saw earlier, you can access those other articles and even streaming videos as well. Just remember that there will be different ways to citing books versus articles found either online or through our library's databases. Oh, and also another feature I didn't mention other than the chat, which you can access down here at the bottom, looking at our schedule. We also have a new feature called Circle In. So I'm not sure if you all have used it yet, but this is a great way to remotely collaborate with your peers to communicate and exchange ideas. So you can download the app as well as using it through the web. So this is also another feature too that you could use to maybe even get together with your colleagues and advise each other on how you research, or I don't know, you can use it any kind of way you want. But that's just the plug for the library, Circle In. So the next one will be evaluating your sources. And we kind of discussed that earlier with when you're going on the catalog and you do see something that looks interesting. Again, a good way to evaluate that information is to look at the summary. So this is looking at the detailed record of the book or the ebook. Always look at the summary, review the information there, review who that author is to see if they're even credible to write on a book or an article or even a website. And we do have a source for that, which is very, very helpful. So step 2, evaluate, and we have a tab for research help. So click on the research help box, look under fighting fake news, and this will help you to identify fake news and find credible sources. You'll click on evaluating. And we have some infographics that you can use when you're searching, especially for the web, because literally anybody can make a website and call it credible when really it's not. We can use the how to spot fake news infograph. So you want to always consider your source and look at their mission statement, investigate the website, and even look at their contact information page if there is one available. Read beyond the text. What is the full story? You always want to get the full story. Check the authors, again, their credibility, and if they're even a real person. Because I've seen some websites where the person didn't even exist. It was kind of like well, I can't really say the name of the type of website that it was, but it was definitely like this one says, is it a joke? It was definitely one of those parody websites. So it wasn't credible at all, and the person didn't really exist. You want to see if there's any supporting sources. So click on those links that are on the website to help you determine if the information supports the story. Check the date. If it's old, please stay away from that. If it hasn't been updated in a year or so, also stay away from that too, because you do want to make sure that that information is current and always up to date, especially if it's credible, yes. Check for any biases, and then if you get stuck, just always ask a librarian, or you can use a fact-checking site, and we do have that feature somewhere in here as well. But before I look for that, go on to this slide to ABCs of evaluation. And again, only for websites I would suggest, mainly like .coms and .org websites, to use this information here. Anything in the databases are peer reviewed, so those are credible from the library's database. So again, just authority you need to look at. The bias, you want to know the reason why the information exists. You want to know if that person is informing, teaching, selling, entertaining, or persuading you. And also, does the author appeal to emotion? So these are just different questions to ask. The content, again, what is it actually supported or by evidence, or is the information reviewed, or was it referred? You also want to look for spelling and grammar errors as well. For currency, again, make sure it's up to date. When was it published and posted? And then for websites, it says check that the link worked. If not, the page may be out of date. So this is a very useful source to use. And let's see, one second, choose your news, let's see. Yep, so here we go under the choose your news tab. You can also use some different fact checking tools such as All Sides, Snopes or Snoops, and then we have a couple of others too as well. You can also do image research, image reverse searches using Google, and then we have 10i.
Ooh, can I interrupt real quick? This gives me a good idea. If you all have a topic that, you know, there's often fake news spread about it, which I think a lot of your topics would have this, you might incorporate a Snopes. Like, and you know, while this is circulating, right, I want to mention that I fact check this, and that's an interesting piece of insight and something that's as relevant and current as these topics that you're presenting. Just a thought there to how you might incorporate some of these fact checking sources in the development of your own articles. I love that that's there. Okay, sorry, continue.
Oh, you're fine. That actually sounds like a great idea. But again, to get to this information, you just go from our homepage right here to research help on the left-hand side. Click there. You'll click on the fighting fake news, and this will take you to all of the information regarding how to make sure that you select the appropriate sources and that you can actually identify what is real and what is fake. Especially now there is a lot of information, even on social media, if you come across something. I've seen where students actually use a social media post from Instagram with a caption that was fake, but then they were able to find the real information about that and actually put that in their paper that wasn't an accurate statement as far as the caption above the photo. So that can also be something that you could consider as well. Read beyond the text and do the research yourself to make sure it's true. So that was for evaluating. So now we will go to use and cite. Citing is going to be important too, because I think you're going to have an image. And was there another type of source, Tony? And an interview.
Yeah. And I am asking them to conduct their own interviews, but interviews that you find from other sources are also an interesting way to incorporate research. What people say and think is often very important to these topics that are timely and current.
Mm-hmm. So really quick, just simply click on the citing box. And again, you don't have to memorize all of these different ways for citing different types of information. Just go to our MLA citation guide, and we have plenty of different resources for you. Even for images, we have a PDF for how to cite your images that you find. And the only suggestion that I would make is to know for sure what your source type is before actually looking for the citation example on our website. So if you found an image from the databases, for instance, that Gail had a sample for how you can cite it in MLA, but I would just come here and look on the MLA images guide. And now that you know that it's an image from a database, just look down here. We also have, if you create your own image, if it's an artwork, that's different from online. So you'll just go straight to citing other online images. And here is the template for that, which for all sources in MLA, it starts off with last name, comma, first name, and that's spelled all the way out, both last and first name, period, in parentheses, the title of the source. So whether it's an article source, an image source, that will always be in parentheses. I'm sorry, in quotation marks, period. And then you'll italicize where that image lives at. So if it lives on a website or a database page, then you'll make sure that you italicize that information, comma, the date that it was created. And sometimes you may not see that information for an image, so that's fine. You can leave out the date. You'll do comma, adding the URL or the prima link, which I showed you briefly in the database. Always use the prima link if it is a database source. If it's an online source from the website, you'll just go ahead and use the actual URL. But again, for any database articles, use the prima link or the digital object identifier, which is the DOI number. And then you'll have the access date, which will be accessed, and you'll have the day, the month, which is the first three, except for May, June, and July, you'll spell out all the way. And then you'll have the year, period. And again, this is a standard format for most sources, but again, you don't have to memorize all of this. Just know what your source type is before citing. So that's for images. For your interviews, this one is very easy too. And we have two examples. We have one for telephone and in-person interview. Let me go back to our, oops, forgive me. Let's go back to the Citation Center and click on MLA Citation Guide. And here you can literally click on any one of these things under the table of contents. Again, now we're going to cite our interview. So we have interviews on page 9. Click on that. And here you will see an interview from YouTube, which we're not going to use, but we do have a template for telephone interview and personal interview. So that's very simple. You'll just need the interviewee's last name, comma, first name, period, what type of interview that it is, period, the date. And again, the day goes first. The month is abbreviated except for May, June, and July. And then you'll have the year, period. So that's very easy. We also have a paper too that will be very helpful for you all. And this will actually show you how your MLA page should look. Well, actually it's called your MLA works cited page. So you can download that example and save it. Use this information as a reference for you. And I would suggest if you have oddball sources that you don't know for sure how to cite it, just let me know or any one of my colleagues, because we may not have an example here, but the Little Seagulls Handbook, if you have it, it does have additional examples that you may not see here or use often. But I would do those two things first. Come here or look at the Little Seagulls Handbook. And then the last resort would be to use Purdue OWL. Purdue OWL is actually a secondary source. MLA does have their own website, but for some information you do have to purchase to access that. But we do prefer that you do it this way before going to Purdue OWL or even using a citation machine. I would suggest to stay away from the citation machines unless it's from a database, and you can go from there to modify it by using this guide here. And I know that was a mouthful, but again, just come here for any of your citation questions or examples. Always click on the citing tab. And that ties into the last step, which was citing. To use information, there's actually a couple of ways you can use your sources. And I don't think we have a guide here, but just keep in mind the BEAM method, which is BEAM. And I just wanted to give you some advice for that. If you do see a source, but you think, I may not be able to use this for my research, or only see literally like maybe a paragraph or even two sentences from this article, you can actually use that. You don't have to use the entire article in order to reference it in your paper. It can be 2 sentences or 1 paragraph or the whole paper if you want it to be. But keep in mind the BEAM method. B stands for background. So any information that you pull for your research online, on the catalogs, or in the databases, you can use that for basic facts and general information. For E, which is exhibit, you can actually use it to explain, for an example, to explain a claim. So for example, if you find a historical document, you can use that to analyze it in your paper, or you can find some data information from a study that you can apply to your research as well. For A, argument, this is to help you support or dispute a claim. An example of that I wrote down for you all could be like an editorial from New York Times on the value of higher education to refute in your own paper. And then for M, which will be method, this is a model or a perspective, and this helps the reader understand your argument. For example, you can use a study method, definitions, or a conclusion on gentrification in Chicago to apply it to your own neighborhood in Orlando, Florida. So again, it's called the BEAM method. I will send that to you, Tony, so they can reference that information.
I tried to type it in the chat, but I wasn't keeping up well. So I would love if you'd send that to me. I will definitely share that with them.
Thank you. So again, just keep that in mind when you do start to use information that you've already identified and evaluated. Again, these are the 4 ways that you can use that in your paper. And just going back to the citing, which was the last step. So we kind of like mixed and matched a little bit. Well, not mixed and matched, but it went back and forth. Also, there's different ways you can actually cite. Professor Tony, I don't know if this is a requirement, but you will have to consider in-text citations if you're going to use direct quotes, paraphrase, or summarize information from your
With
source.
any of their academic, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. With any of their academic work, I do want them to get comfortable with in-text citation and citing those sources in either MLA or APA. I really like them working with MLA since they are all writers. I imagine they'll be using this throughout their time at this college and beyond. So yes, absolutely, in-text citation is important.
Okay, so just really quick, just to go back to the MLA citation guide. This is where we have all the examples of citations, and we do have a section for in-text. So I would suggest to look over this and see some examples of how they introduce some of their sources, for example, according to whatever the document is. And then you'll just say, have your sentence. But it's very simple. I would advise, if you have time, to look at in-text citations. When you are doing in-text citations, it's always the author's last name in parentheses and the page number. If there's no page number, then you'll just use the author's last name in the parentheses. Or if you're using the title, because you will run into sources that don't have an author mentioned, it'll just be the title. Then the title will be the first 2 to 3 keywords, not keywords, but words from the title in quotation marks. For instance, this opening shots, we have the full citation here above. This is the actual way that you would work cited. It will be cited in your works cited page. And then here, these are 2 different ways that you can actually in-text it. So just introduce the source title, or you can introduce the information in that article and then in-text the titles first, I would say 2 to 3 words, not including a, and, or the, and that is mentioned here. But it's very simple. Once you do one, you'll understand. Again, it's just literally the last name and page number. If no page numbers, we do have a section under additional tips for web documents. If you do find information on the web, this is just different ways that you can cite it if there's no page numbers available. So let me go back. And again, this is for our site. I want to do an example really quick, excuse me, of how you can search the web, going back to identify and evaluating when you are using, for instance, Google. Let's use Google. This is actually a good source to use as well. They do have different features that you can incorporate in your search. So I'm going to try to do it from here. It's been a while since I've done this, but you can actually do Google Scholar. You can search using Google Scholar, and you can link the library's account to the search. So you'll just do scholar.google.com. We'll click there. And if you guys want to follow me, please feel free to do so. We're going to go to settings. So on these 3 bars, click here. Settings. Let's see. We actually click on library links. I clicked on the wrong link, but you'll click on library links. You can type in Lake Sumter State College or LSSC. Search, and here at the bottom, you'll see the Lake Sumter full text at LSSC. Click on that and save it. So whenever you're searching in Google Scholar, it'll let you know whether or not we do have that full text through our library's database or a catalog even. So let's see, let me go back to the chat. So let's see, another topic. Let's see if we can find anything for gender expression. And you may want to think of another keyword for expression and search that way too to see what comes up. So we'll do gender expression. Since, let's see, we'll do since 2021. And they do have a full text. On here on the right-hand side, you'll see full text at LSSC. If it's an article that you do want to use, click on that and it should take you to the full text PDF. If not, then that just means that we don't have access to that information. So that does need to be updated if it's no longer available for you. So let's see. Okay, it looks like it's going somewhere. Okay, yep. So we were able to get the full text for this article, and all we did literally was search through Google Scholar. We actually were led back to our library's databases through Sage Journal. You can actually access Sage Journal again through the library, just filtering the databases that we have. So this is one, I love that they have the keywords. Again, make sure that you look at these keywords and see what you can use for your search. We've mentioned gender expression, so maybe do some searching using gender identity maybe and see what comes up if there's more information. Every journal usually has an abstract. If it doesn't, you will obviously know that it's a journal because they will have information of the journal name that it was published in, and it will always come with the DOI number. So when you're looking for examples on our MLA citation guide, always click on the articles tab. Let's see, another way that you can search in Google, one second, is doing some cool tricks and using these tips on Google search. For instance, let's see, gender expression. So anytime you do put in some keywords from your topic, you can actually add this is site, SITE, :edu. And this just tells Google to search gender expression from any site that's an educational site. Educational and government sites are really good sources to use, and you won't have to worry about evaluating to see if it's credible or not, because it will most likely be, versus a .com and a .gov. Not a .gov, but a .org. So let's see. So here we do have some information that comes up. And if you take a close look, these are all from .edus. So this is also a good technique to use if you're going to use sources from the internet and don't want to do the whole shebang of making sure that it's actually credible or not. So that could be useful. You can also search by the file type. So let me try that again. We'll try animal testing. Oops. File type :PDF. Let's see if this works. So all of the sources now that come up, they will be PDF documents. And I see the first one. This is actually from a .org. And this looks like this could be, let's see, considered a journal article maybe. Well, let's investigate, let's see. So we do have an author. Animals, it tells you when it was published, October edition, 2029. So if you really were unsure, you can actually, and if it's not already on the first page or in the corner of the first page, top right corner, always look at is it the footers or the headers? I believe this is called the footer. It will have the journal.
I can't see that. Is there any way
I know
to
it's very small.
magnify that for us? I think this might really help Ronald too. This sounds like a good article for your piece. Can you copy this for
Yes.
us?
Mm-hmm.
I just like that it offers like this same perspective, and maybe share it in the chat so he can grab it. This looks like a really interesting piece. It's 2009 though, right? So it's older.
That's true.
The only concern I would have would be like, are they still using these types of practices? But as long as you're not trying to intimate this is the standard practice now, but these are the
Right.
effects we saw of those practices. I think you could probably use an older piece for this one. Thank you, Jasmine.
I agree.
That's a great,
You're
thank you.
welcome.
That's actually a really nice journal article.
And I was trying to investigate because going back to making sure you know the source type before you cite it, it may be from an actual journal. So you would have to investigate all animals, maybe research all animals journal, see if that was something that's still published today. But that will be considered, if indeed it is a journal, it will be considered as an article citation. So you would have to cite it the same way you would if you found this information through our library's databases. If it didn't have this information, such as the day it was published, the name of the journal and or let's see, the publication year, such as September, October 2009. If it didn't have that, then we could possibly say that this is just information from a website in a PDF form. So it could have been a PDF on a website. Then we'll use the website example to cite this information. So just make sure that you for sure know what type of source this is. And if you're not sure, we can do some investigating for you and help you through using our chat service or just emailing me if you get stuck. And I guess I'll let this out, Tony. You said this could help somebody for their research. So even when you're in Google, you can actually make sure to look at the titles as well, because that can be a dead giveaway if this can help you with your research. This is also a cool feature too. People also search for, so you can look at animal testing cases. Maybe those are recent that you could apply to your research. Case studies, alternatives to animal testing, depending on what side you're on with that. And they even have scholarly articles too. So a lot of times in Google, you will see these different features that can help you with your search as well. So if you don't want any more web sources, and you've looked at people also ask for, and other things that they search. And a lot of these are actually, they do look like they're articles. So this may be helpful. This is from Science Direct. That's a good database to use. Let's see. But just going back again, just make sure you investigate the title. This can help you again build your keywords. So maybe you weren't thinking about looking into alternatives yet, or if you want to learn about vitro methods, maybe start doing some more searching up here to see what else you can get similar to this. Scholarly articles, click on that. And these will, if you are connected now, will let you know if we have the full text at LSSC. Even if they don't have an icon, just see if you can open it anyway. And if you can't, then I would just suggest to look for another article that does say that we have it. Because sometimes it will be free and sometimes it won't. Like, for instance, you have to pay for this article. And please do not ever pay for anything. Just ask us first. And we may be able to even get you a PDF of whatever you need from an institution that has it available. And that will allow us to share content with one another via the library. So just never pay for anything online. Again, these are great. You can choose the date that you want. You can also create alerts if you want to. I don't know how much that will change based on your topic, but that is something to note as well. And that's just through Google Scholar. Through the web, again, use the site :.edu or even .gov and see what's out there. Use the file type if you want only PDFs to come up, which will probably make your life a whole lot easier, because some of these PDFs will be articles. Like, for instance, this one is an article. But again, you do have to do some investigating to make sure that it actually is an article and not just a website that has PDF documents on it. Any questions so far from anyone? If you want me to reiterate any information, or sorry, I'm too fast. If I'm too fast, please let me know. Because I do talk very fast, but these are just.
I think you're doing great. I just want to check in. I know sometimes they're reluctant to ask questions. Does anyone have questions? at all about any of the search options. One thing, I think Google Scholar is fantastic, but I love that Jasmine was able to show us how to come back to grab that from LSSC. And so we know you don't have to pay for anything, and you're going to have a lot of that will pop up a lot. So you can access a lot of these resources. And thinking about your final piece, right? I hope that you will really challenge yourself to use everything you're learning here to shape and create that piece. So thank you, Jasmine. Does anybody have any questions real quick? All right, I'm going to mute. Sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
I was going to try another topic, the PS5 online sculptors. Correct me if I'm wrong. Scalpers.
Scalpers.
I did the same thing with that one. This is a new topic for me too, Jasmine.
Because I was thinking, I've seen a topic recently from one of your students, Tony, in another class, and they actually had some issues. I believe it was your class for speech. They had a topic and they didn't know where to go. But maybe for something like this, I actually seen this website be used a lot, Tech Radar. So maybe sources like that, you could use popular, I would say, like tech reviewer type websites and things like that could be very useful. I was actually trying to look for a Wikipedia page too, because although we want you to steer away from Wikipedia, you can always look at the reference page and the external page. Well, let's just try this one. Let's just use the PlayStation 5 Wikipedia, for example. I would never try to cite this as a resource because this can be changed literally whenever, but I do see that this one is actually locked. But normally a lot of people can make updates if they want to, so that would have an issue of it being credible or not, if anyone can update it. So always look at the references page and the external links page, because this will give you literally some good websites, sometimes even journals that you can go out to get some information. And I do see that there's a lot of 2020 articles that were written, so maybe that could be useful for your search, depending on the discussion of your story. External, let's see. So then we have their official homepage. But yes, I would advise definitely not to use Wikipedia as an actual source, but again, just look at the reference page to get some ideas, even from the articles, what they've written. Copy and paste that into the search engine in Google and see what comes up. You may get other authors that appear, more up-to-date current information that appear from different sources. So just keep that in mind with topics like that, because I don't think you'll find too much of this on the databases, but we do have a site called Statista, and there's another one, Consumer Reports, that you can actually use as well to see if we have anything about PS5 online sculptures. Sorry, I butchered that. Let's see. And let me take you guys to that site really quick. I don't know if any of you have used it yet for Statista, because you can get images that way, as well as different charts and graphs. So all you would do is go back to our home page, click on databases, and you can also narrow down the search, by using the first letter of the database name, so S. And we do have Statista. And anytime you click on these links, if you're not already signed into your email, your Laycock email, then you'll have to do so from here. So here we have the site. Let's see. Let's see if anything comes up. Is there another name for online, oh gosh, scalpers?
Not that I know of.
Okay, let me see. They try to correct me and say PS3 online scanner, but I don't think that's what we want. Oops.
I wonder if just searching like PS5, because it's still so new of a platform, if it would yield any results in Statista.
Say that again. What should I do in Statista?
I just wonder if you just search PS5 to see what kind of comes back, because it's so new of a platform.
Okay, let's try that. PS5. Search.
Cool.
Oh, and that's true. You can always spell it out too. That goes back to the keywords. You can also search PlayStation 5 or PS5 online scalp. I'm gonna stop saying that word. But if you look on the left-hand side, we do have different ways that you can grab some images. So for statistics, they do have infographics, which says 2 are available.
So one thing that I think this is perfect source for this, one thing I keep commenting on your all's pieces is if you're not specific, if you say a lot or millions or thousands are impacted, you know, instead of saying a lot, quantify that, or millions and thousands. I mean, I'm sure you can find numbers. So your readers want to know specifically how much. And this looks like that might be that kind of source to help you do that. So when you're quantifying things, try to be more specific instead of broad or general.
So this may not help, I don't know, but they only showed like comparison prices to, let's see, Xbox. But I don't know, it just depends again on your topic, what we actually have available in Statista, but this is a great place for charts, graphs, statistics. This may not be useful unless you want to reference it somehow, but no telling. But this is another source that you can use. Creative Commons was also one that you can use as well. If you've all had a chance to visit that site before, those are where you can get some free images from. And there is a feature in Google, I'll share with you, Tony, once I remember it, but you can actually specify if you want the image to be like open source. But I'm gonna investigate that and see what comes up. Again. Yeah, somehow you do that. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Let's see, search settings. Because once you get to this point of looking for images, I don't think it really matters since this your papers won't be published in a database, but for future reference, to steer away from, I guess, copyright issues, there is a way to look for images that are free use using Google. But again, you can use Creative Commons or even Statista. And then going back on our databases, like how I showed you for under search options, there's always usually an option for you to make sure that your results include images as well as articles.
And I do want to add, Jasmine, it looks like Ronald shared that Google Images and then usage rights will allow us to edit that. So I did not know you could do that. That is fantastic. So many times students want to be able to present images and not have to cite them. Honestly, if you pull it from Creative Commons, you don't technically have to cite it in academic work. So that's something to look forward to. Thank you for sharing that with us, both of you. I really appreciate
Thank you,
that.
Ronald. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's perfect. I knew it was somewhere. I just was like, it's been a minute, but yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that too, Professor Tony, that they don't have to worry about citing those type of images. Let's see. And I think that covered it all. I don't know how much time I have left. Are we done in 10 minutes?
You're actually done in 1 minute, so you
okay,
did really well. You did great. This was so informative. I mean, every time you talk to my classes, Jasmine, I get more out of it. So I am just, I'm profoundly thankful because this researching is a skill. It truly is. And the better you become as a researcher, the better you're going to do in any of your life's pursuits. I truly believe that, especially in your academic pursuits. Thank you so much for this today. Does anyone have any questions for me or for Jasmine before we sign off today? We can stick around for a few minutes after class if anybody wants to stay to ask questions, but hopefully this will help you to start your article. If you did not get something submitted last week, please submit something. It's never too late to submit those. You'll lose some points for being late, but I would rather it late than never. especially if you were struggling to write the piece, please just get it done. I'd rather you submit something to get some points because these are worth a lot of points. I don't want you to lose those points entirely. And if you're having trouble kind of thinking about how to shape this next piece, I will be in class on Wednesday, but we do not have class on Wednesday. It is a drop-in class. I wish you all would use it. Just come in and talk with me. Just let me know what you're working on. Or if you have any other questions at all, I'm happy to answer them. But I will be in class for that time frame, so please come back. Otherwise, you are free to go, but stick around if you have questions for Jasmine or myself.
Oh, one more thing, Tony. Can I add the chat, our link to if you need any, writing assistance or want us to check your sources and your citations, please visit that link that I just added. If you do have questions after this class today. So just contact us whenever you need assistance.
And I will follow up with, I know you'll want them to complete the survey, so I will follow up with the survey for them as well, for them to complete that survey for
Okay.
us today.
Thank you, Tony.
Any questions?
I just had a question because I didn't do the assignment last week because I was a little confused just because I felt like I did most of it the first time, and so I didn't know what to add, or I didn't know if I had to write.
Well, and I mentioned that you specifically in class, but you weren't here. I said, and because a lot of people read your piece and they really appreciated it. I said, Elizabeth won't really need to add much because it looks like she wrote an article. So it would just be refining the piece, proofing it, maybe trimming it, that kind of thing. And then for this particular week, so if you wanted to go and do that because you put so much into that interview piece that I felt like it was a story already. So maybe cut it, refine it just a bit. I can give you some feedback. And then for this piece, maybe shape it a little bit more, incorporate some maybe more interviews if you wanted to, or some more research. I know that Jasmine was able to find some interesting articles on your topic in particular today. So maybe you found something of value. I can't remember the search that she used for your topic.
It was Google Scholar.
Okay. Yeah. I liked kind of the stuff that came back. I think for you, it's just going to be expanding upon it. Elizabeth, you're a really good writer, and I think your research is very strong. I think you've already got a lot invested in that piece, but I do want it to be a little different, than the interview.
Yeah.
So if you for last week's piece, if you want to make it different somehow, and then for this piece, make it different. But you really put a lot into that first piece, more than I think any of your other classmates did for the interview piece. So you're off to a really good start. If you want to come on Wednesday, you and I can talk one-on-one if you have particular questions, for sure.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you both. Bye.
Bye. This class this is a really, really good group of writers. I mean, I'm intimidated when I read their work. I'm like, oh my gosh, they are really good writers. I don't normally get that for my MMC 2100 class. I typically get students who came out of my speech class and they just wanted to take another class with me. And some of them are really, really good. Some of them are kind of still struggling with even just the basic concepts. I love where you took it today. You took them to a deeper place of research, and I think they'll really appreciate that. I could see them really interested in paying attention. So thank you.
I could have organized that a little bit better because I was confused with this use and cite because it can go back and forth, but I really want them to at least cite the information before they actually use it in their paper. But then I was like, let me go back and
I thought you were very thoughtful in how you presented that. Oh, let me stop the recording.